Easy and Slow Storytelling with Steve Jobs. Who was Steve Jobs really? Was he a visionary genius? Or a difficult manager who happened to be right at the right time? When people hear the name Steve Jobs, they often picture black turtlenecks, minimalist stages, and perfectly designed products. But that image is incomplete. Behind the mythology, there is a story of obsession, failure, control, and relentless belief. This is not just the story of a tech founder. It is the story of how one person tried to bend technology toward human emotion. Most people think Steve Jobs was an engineer. He was not. He could not code. He did not design circuit boards. His real skill was different. Jobs was a product thinker, a storyteller, and a perfectionist. He cared less about how something worked, and more about how it felt. He believed technology should disappear, and leave only the experience behind. This belief would define everything he touched, and it would also make him difficult, often unbearable, to work with. Steve Jobs was born in 1955, and adopted shortly after birth. This fact mattered deeply to him. He later said, being adopted made him feel special, chosen, but it also left a quiet fear of being abandoned. That fear would show up again and again, in his relationships, and in his work. As a teenager, Jobs was curious, restless, and drawn to counterculture. He experimented with LSD, read Eastern philosophy, and questioned authority. At the same time, he developed an interest in electronics, not because he loved machines, but because he loved possibility. In the mid-1970s, Jobs met Steve Wozniak. Wozniak was everything Jobs was not. A brilliant engineer, shy, focused, and deeply technical. Jobs immediately saw something. Together, they could build something bigger than either could alone. Their first product, the Apple I, was primitive, but Jobs saw its potential, not as a hobbyist kit, but as a consumer product. This distinction mattered. Jobs wanted computers to be for regular people, not just engineers. Apple Computer was founded in a garage, a story that became legend. But the early days were chaotic. Money was tight, deadlines were missed, and tensions were constant. Jobs pushed everyone relentlessly. He demanded perfection, even when perfection seemed impossible. The Apple II changed everything. It was one of the first successful personal computers. For the first time, computers entered homes and schools. Apple became a real company, and Steve Jobs became a symbol of youthful innovation. Success came quickly, too quickly. Jobs was in his early 20s, suddenly in charge of hundreds of people. He lacked experience and patience. His management style was extreme. Employees were either brilliant or useless. There was no middle ground. Jobs believed deeply in what he called taste. He believed most people lacked it, and that it was his job to enforce it. This attitude created incredible products and deep resentment. The Macintosh was Jobs's next obsession. He wanted to create a computer that felt friendly, approachable, almost alive. The graphical user interface, the mouse, the typography, these were revolutionary ideas, but the process was brutal. Jobs divided Apple into internal factions. He created pressure, competition, and fear. People worked insane hours. Some thrived, others burned out. When the Macintosh launched in 1984, it was iconic, but it was also expensive and limited. Sales disappointed, and the company struggled. Inside Apple, power shifted. Jobs clashed with the CEO, John Sculley. The board lost confidence. In 1985, Steve Jobs was effectively pushed out of the company he founded. This was devastating. Jobs felt betrayed, humiliated, and lost. For the first time, he had no control, but this exile would become the most important chapter of his life. After leaving Apple, Jobs founded a new company called Next. The goal was ambitious: build the perfect computer for education and research. Once again, Jobs spared no expense. The design was beautiful, the technology was advanced, and the cost was absurd. Next computers failed commercially, but something important happened. The operating system, built for Next, was powerful, flexible, and modern. At the same time, Jobs invested in a small animation studio. It was called Pixar. Pixar struggled at first. Jobs funded it personally. Year after year, he learned something new: leadership without domination, collaboration without control. When Toy Story was released, it changed animation forever. Pixar became a creative powerhouse. And Steve Jobs, for the first time, was respected as a business leader. Outside of Apple, in the mid-1990s, Apple was failing. The company had lost direction. Products were confusing. Leadership was weak. Desperation forced a decision. Apple bought Next, and Steve Jobs returned. At first, he was only an advisor, but it did not last. Within months, Jobs took control. What followed was ruthless. Jobs cut product lines. He fired thousands. He simplified everything. Then came the iMac. Bright, friendly, different. It saved the company. Jobs rebuilt Apple around a single idea: technology and humanity should meet seamlessly. The iPod followed, then iTunes. Apple didn't just sell devices. It reshaped entire industries: music, phones, computing. Each time, Jobs focused on experience, not specs, not features, but feeling. The iPhone changed the world. It redefined how humans interact with information, with each other, with reality. Behind the scenes, Jobs was still difficult. He could be cruel, dismissive, unforgiving, but he had also grown. He listened more. He trusted strong teams. He learned when to step back. In 2004, Jobs was diagnosed with cancer. He hid it, denied it, tried to control it. Eventually, reality caught up. His health declined, but his focus sharpened. Jobs worked until the end, planning, refining, letting go. In 2011, Steve Jobs died. The world mourned, but the real legacy was not grief, it was influence. Steve Jobs proved that technology is not neutral. It reflects values, priorities, taste. He showed that saying no is more powerful than saying yes, and that obsession, when paired with clarity, can change the world. But the question remains, was the cost worth it? For the people around him, for himself, for the culture he shaped. Steve Jobs did not give us answers. He gave us products, and a challenge, to care deeply, to demand more, and to decide what kind of future we want to build.